Brendan, are you recording this, by the way?
I am recording this.
Okay, awesome. Just checking.
Yeah, thanks for checking. Appreciate
Yep.
it. Everyone can see my screen and it says Full Stack HQ. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. Sweet. Awesome. So let's read the prompt. It wants me to refactor the function full stack HQ so that it returns the correct string. And those strings should be full stack HQ is at planet Earth, United States, New York State, New York City. Looking at the code, it looks like we have a global variable planet Earth. Then middle function has a parameter, place. And then inner function has both a parameter and a variable, place. And then innermost function is where our string gets sort of put together, and it's just place, 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 place. Well, that's probably only going to return one value, right? Like if we run this and take a look at it, identifier place has already been declared. Interesting. Okay, so it's erroring out. It's not even letting me put together the string. So does anybody have any suggestions about how I might solve this problem? It doesn't have to be the whole solution, maybe just one suggestion.
I guess by changing the variable places.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. If I was going to write up some sort of address, I wouldn't write, I wouldn't say like a place, 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 place. I'd probably say something like city, state, address. So yeah, I think one thing we can do is maybe change some of these variables to be more descriptive, and that will that'll sort of clear up the collision that's going on here where JavaScript is looking at all these places and kind of saying, I'm not really sure which one you're wanting here. So let's do this. Let's do, let's say planet, right? Let's come up here. This middle function calls inner function. Oh, let's start here because this says United States. Middle function gets called with United States. So we could say the middle function's parameter is maybe like country. Inner function calls with New York State. So maybe we could change this to state. Place here is New York City. Maybe we could change this to city. And now we've got place, 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 place. Okay. But I can replace these, right? I can replace these. Ha ha ha. Anyway. Please excuse me, I have a condition. Planet, maybe we can change this one to country. Maybe we can change this one to state, and maybe we can change this one to city. Did I spell planet incorrectly somehow? Planet. All right, let's try running that. Hey, awesome. Right, so is this clear how like this one, I just think it was more of like a, let's change up these variable names to be more descriptive, and it can kind of clear up some of our scoping issues. Okay, moving along. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
If the scope is global, you see how planet is blue on the outside, but if it's global, shouldn't it also be blue inside the block?
It should be blue. I don't know why this is not blue, but it worked.
Yeah, okay. Because in one of the other questions, I was like, is it wrong because it's not turning blue?
Yeah, I had the same thing, but yeah, I don't know why it's not turning blue. It should be turning blue.
Okay. Just make sure. Thank you.
Of course. All right, incremental change. All right, define a function, incremental change. Okay, I will go ahead and do that. Incremental change that accepts a number and increments the global variable counter by that much. Okay, so I'm going to take in a num and update counter by num is what it says. Increments the global variable counter. This is the global variable counter by that amount. The function should also return the current value of counter after the increment operation. Okay, so a bunch of big words, but they're saying update counter and also return whatever counter is. Each successive call to count should progressively change the value held by the counter. Okay, so it sounds like they want me to update the value of this increment, which means like add to. So maybe add num to counter. Cool, I know how to do that. I could say counter plus equals num. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Okay, so I increment counter by num, by this number I get passed in here, and then I return whatever the value of counter is. So if num is like 5, then I would add 5 to counter, and I would return 5 from this function. Yeah? Any questions on that one?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when I originally did it, I had it inverted. I had num plus equal counter, and it failed the last spec, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So let's see. So your code looked something like this.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a fancy shorthand way of writing this, right?
Oh.
Num is equal to whatever num's current value is plus counter. So yeah, you were actually updating
The num
as opposed to counter. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sweet. Good question. Yeah. Okay. Moving along. Some things wrong. Okay. Let's see. Hey, I've already got 2 tests passing. I like that. All right. Let's see. The function some things wrong is failing some of its tests. Why? Fix the code so that it works. Okay. So we've got is a function, returns a number, returns the sum of 2 positive numbers. So I'm going to take in 50. I'm going to take in 100. I should get 150. That makes sense. Num1 plus num2 is 150. Oh, wait, we're using this global variable sum, right? Okay, so if I pass in 50, sum should be 50. If I pass in 100, it should be 100. It looks like inside of the function here, that's kind of what it does, is it adds num1 to whatever this is. It adds like, let's say it's 50 and this 100. It is going to add 50. So now it's 50, and then it's going to add 100. So now it'd be 150. Sum would be 150. Okay. So if I run this, let's see what fails. Ooh, expected 180 to equal 150. That's interesting. So let's take a look at maybe like one of the other tests. Oh, okay. So this runs it. This runs it. So we pass in 10 and 20, right? So num1 is 10. Num2 is 20. Sum would be 10. Then sum would be 10 plus 20, which is 30. So we're going to return 30 here. Then I'm going to start my next test. Can anybody tell me what the value of sum is when I run this next test?
30.
Yes, it's 30. It's not 0, right? Because when we did this is a global variable, and we talked about the dangers of changing global variables before. This is why. Instead of being 0, when we run this test, it's going to be 30. So this 150 is going to have a base of 30. It's going to have 30 that we're adding on top of. Moreover, this one is going to start with 180, right? So the whole thing gets kind of out of whack from there. How can we solve this? What do we do? I mean, what we could do is just say, let sum equal 0. I'm going to define another sum variable, a local variable sum, that is going to always start at 0. And we'll always know that if I add in num1, num2, whatever those values are, I'm going to get an expected output of their sum. Any questions on this one?
I have a question on this one.
Please, yeah.
So I solved it, but I'm not really sure why my solution solved it. So basically I did sum equals num1 plus num2 and then return sum, but I don't really understand how that doesn't affect the global variable.
So you did something like this.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, very good question. There's a difference between this and this, right?
Oh, one is incrementing and the other one's reassigning.
Exactly. This one is going to take whatever the current value of sum is and apply your num1 plus num2. This is just going to say, okay, it is equal to the sum of these two numbers.
Understood.
Awesome. Good question.
Brendan, I just had a question. So before you answered his question, you wrote two lets. So you wrote let sum equals 0. Well, on the top, that was already written. And then the second one was you wrote let sum. So are you allowed to have two lets though?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's the second let, it's in local variable. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is defined outside of the global scope. This is defined, or my goodness, this is defined in the global scope. This is defined inside the function.
Oh, but you can still use let. I think you can only use let once.
No. You can use let as many times as you want.
So
Yeah.
the second let basically overrides the global let sum above it. Is that what it basically does?
Yeah, they're two. You can think of these as they are two different variables. They have the
Sure.
same name, but they're two different variables. And the reason I know that they're two different variables is because of this let keyword, right? Like I'm saying, create a new variable called sum. And the reason I can do that is because of this scoping, right? Is because there's like a realm, there's one realm, there's one dimension where sum is defined. And there's a parallel dimension where the dimension of the function sum things wrong. And that is where this other sum is defined. Because they're different scopes, you're not going to have the same kind of like JavaScript isn't going to freak out and say like, wait, this is which one is this? Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Great.
I also want to ask, what if you don't write let in the local inside of the function? What if you just sum equals 0? Would that work?
Yes, it would. It's still what we're doing here. I think the difference should be noted is when we do this, we're defining a variable that isn't going to affect this at all, right? We're creating a new variable. We're letting sum be equal to that variable. If we do this, what we're doing is at the beginning of each call to sum things wrong, we're setting sum equal to 0. We're changing this sum and assigning it a value of 0.
Okay, got it. That
Oh,
makes
good. Good. Glad to hear. Okay. Sniper scope. All right, I'm gonna bounce through, I think, the first couple of these. And then I'll try to dig in to the last few. All right, each of the functions in the sniper scope asks you to make a prediction. Will agent in scope, this variable, be equal to true or false? The tests for this problem will only pass if your prediction is correct. So I'm going to write in either true or false right here, and then if agent scope is false and my prediction is false, then I'm right. Okay. So first up, let's do this. Let's truncate some of these. Okay. So first one up is odd job. So we have a global variable bond, which is equal to 007. It's asking me, line 4, agent in scope is bond is equal to 007. Well, that seems like it is, right? This is 007. Bond is equal to 007. So I'm going to say true. Hey, all right, cool. Moving down, we have Goldfinger. Goldfinger takes in a parameter, bond, and is asking, is that bond equal to 007? So this is a little bit where we have to like jump down to the tests and then jump back up. We got to jump down to the tests because we got to see what Goldfinger is called with, what the argument passed in for bond is. It looks like there's no value passed in here. So bond in this case is actually going to equal undefined. So is undefined equal to 007? I do not think that it is. I'm going to say false. And remember here too, that because this is a parameter, it is locally scoped, right? So we have a bond that's locally scoped. So we get here to line 11, and line 11 says, hey, I need a value for this variable called bond. Find me the value. And JavaScript starts looking around. It looks in the local scope. It finds it. Here it is, bond. And the value is undefined. So let's try running that. See if we're right. Ooh, 2 for 2. Awesome. So good. All right, Scaramanga. All right, we've got a parameter target. Let's see what target is. Okay, it's undefined, right? Target is, Scaramanga is not called with anything passed in. So target is undefined. We're going to set target equal to the value of the global variable bond, this bond, right? We get down here and we say, hey, I need a value for this variable called bond. We're going to look in the local scope. We don't find it. We're going to extend out to the global scope. And we do find it. It's 007. So now target is equal to 007. Agent in scope asks me, is bond equal to 007? I'm pretty sure it does. I'm going to say true. Let's see if we're right. Yes. Yes. All right. Moving right along. Dr. No. Okay, so Dr. No is going to declare a local variable, bond, let bond equals body double. Agent in scope, bond is equal to 007. Well, it's not, right? Because bond here, the local variable, is going to be what's used. We're going to come on line 29 and we're going to look for bond, and we're going to find it here in the local scope, and it's body double. Body double is not equal to 007. And so I'm going to say false. Let's see if we're right. Let's see. Yes. Yes. Okay. Here we go. JAWS. Okay, so let's see what's up with JAWS. We have agent, which is a parameter. So it's a locally scoped variable. let's see what agent, the value of agent is. It's undefined, right? JAWS is not called with any arguments passed in. So I'm going to come up here. I like to write these in for myself sometimes. Agent is equal to the global variable bond, right? We don't have another bond defined here. So bond up here is 007. Okay, so now agent is going to be equal to 007. Bond is equal to body double. So we're assigning the value body double to bond. Okay. So now bond equals body double, right? And we're going to say agent is equal to 007. Well, here agent was given the value 007, and even though bond was changed afterwards, this still has a value of 007. So 007 equal to 007. Yeah, I'm going to say true. I'm going to say true. Let's see. Hey, all right. Any questions on that one?
So yeah, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah.
So so it looks for the local variable before, so it doesn't go from top to down really. It looks for the local variable first once and then it reassigns the global variable. So by the time that it looks for that variable agent, it is boom, it's like its job is done because bond is already a global variable. Is that correct?
When I'm trying to clarify, make sure I understand what you're saying. It looks for bond, finds it, pulls the value down, assigns it to agent, and because it's already found it, it doesn't have to do anything more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yes. And technically it kind of does the same thing on line 38, even though it's reassigning the value. It's saying like, hey, I'm supposed to reassign this thing called bond. Let's look for it. It looks in the local scope first and then extends out to the global scope.
Got it.
Good.
Hey, Brendan, I'm confused. Isn't bond equals body double local? So doesn't it go to the local variable first and then it goes to the global? So wouldn't it be false?
For bond?
Yeah, because it says agent equals bond, and then bond equals double. Wouldn't it be false or no?
So bond
That's the
here.
local variable, isn't that?
Bond, do you see another inside of just this function, a variable declared called bond?
Just the bond equals body double, that one.
So, okay. So this isn't a declaration, right? If it was doing that, that would be a declaration. But because it's just referencing bond, that means it's not defining it here. It needs to go and find a bond in order to reassign
okay, got it.
Yeah,
So if it was let, then it would be false.
Exactly. Yeah. If this was let, then it would be false.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
Actually, just
Yeah.
sorry, just
Oh.
here a quick question. Yeah. So my doubt here is, well, my question here is, we can have a local variable and a global variable named the same, or no? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you.
Oh, great. Yep. We can have a local variable with the exact same name as a global variable. I think it's confusing, but these things can happen.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to understand here is, they are actually two different variables, right?
Correct.
Okay, amazing.
Very good. Okay, let's move down to El Chiffre. So yeah, go ahead.
Back to JAWS. If it was let bond equals body double, and it would be false. So usually the code, it doesn't matter if it's top to bottom. It doesn't matter that agent is assigned bond. It will still look for the variable locally, even if the line of code is below it, or even like
Yes.
correct.
Yes. If so, what would happen here is that it kind of depends a little bit. There's two things that could happen here based on what this is being run with. One is that this bond will say, oh, okay, you need a bond. Let me look for a bond for you. Okay, I'm going to start off here. Here's a bond. You have a variable inside this function called bond. I'm going to use that. However, that has not been given a value yet. So this is going to be equal to undefined. So that could happen. Most of the time, I think that's going to happen. It depends on what you're running this on, like what browser or like what environment. But another situation is that it could see this and say, hey, bond has not been defined yet. You have not created a variable yet called bond, so you cannot do this. You cannot try to use it.
And then it throws an error, right?
It would throw an
Like
error.
Okay.
It would throw a reference error. Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So El Chiffre, we start off, we have agent equal bond, right? And we have bond here, but once again, like in JAWS, oh, no. Yes, yeah, okay, yeah. That's what happens when you change code around. Like in JAWS, this is referencing this global variable here, right? There's no let in front of this. This is just saying, hey, I need a bond. I need to reassign it. Okay, let's look. Here we go. Here it is. So first we're going to say agent is equal to bond. What is the value of bond right now? Anybody want to guess?
007.
Is it 007?
Wait, undefined. Sorry.
So if we're looking at the global variable, right? And we just ran JAWS. Does JAWS do anything here to change the value of the globally scoped bond?
Not yet. It runs after agent has been assigned a value of bond.
Right. Yeah. But on 38,
becomes body double. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, yeah. What's it called? Body is it becomes body double.
It becomes body double. Yeah. So when we ran it last time, when we ran JAWS, bond starts off as 007, right? So we're gonna assign 007 to agent, but then we're gonna change what bond is. We're gonna change it to be body double here, right? This is the globally scoped variable. And we're reassigning what its value is. We're saying, hey, that bond up here, change it to be body double. So we ran that and that function finished. Okay, well now we come down to the next one and we're referencing bond here, and bond now is equal to body double. So we have bond, create a variable agent, set its value equal to body double. Then we say bond is equal to body double, right? And then on line 51, we're saying agent is agent equal to 007. It's not equal to 007 because bond before this line was already body double. So I'm going to say false. And there you go.
So the reassignment, that's just useless because it's already body double. It's redundant.
Yeah. Correct.
So what if the function JAWS was not called?
if the function JAWS was not called, then this agent would be 007.
Okay. And also if inside of the function JAWS, if there was a let keyword in bond.
Same thing. This would be 007.
Right.
It's-
Okay. That makes sense.
Good. I'm glad. It's because we're specifically changing that globally scoped function here. Good deal.
So technically, as the code is written, it shouldn't really matter. It only matters when the function is called, and the function is called during the test. So that's why it's changing. But as the code is written this way, it shouldn't really matter, right?
If the code is written this way, yes. If the functions were never called, then you're right. This would not matter.
Okay, got it. That's what I was really confused with earlier. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, of course. Awesome. We have a couple of minutes. I'm going to jump into a couple of the scope cones. Let's see if I can finish them in a couple minutes. Let's see. The number one, do not declare any new variable with the let keyword. So here we have test1 message equal to test failing. And then we're going to return test1 message. Do not declare any new variable with the let keyword. Am I missing something here? Oh, let's see what we got on our tests. Ooh, it looks like on line 70, when I call this, I'm passing in test succeeding. So I'm not going to create a new variable with the let keyword, but I'm going to create a new variable as a parameter and say test1 message. Let's try running that. Boom. Awesome. All right, test 2. Do not change any code in the body of test 2. You can edit helper function though. Okay, so we have, let's see if we pass in any, nope. No, we don't pass in anything there. So we have test failing, which is a global variable. We have test 2, which calls helper function. And then we return test2 message, which right now is test failing. So helper function has a parameter A that gets passed in. A is equal to test succeeding, and then we can return A. Well, do not change any code in the body of test 2. You can edit helper function though. What I could do is change the globally scoped function, or the globally scoped variable in helper function, right? I could say, okay, you don't want me to change any code here, but you want this to be test succeeding. This has a portion where it changes that value. So instead of A, I could just change this to reference this. Any questions on that one? Or on the one before?
So what's the point of A then once you change it? Is there any usage to A?
No, there's no usage to A.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of this stuff is like trying to fool you. It's trying to throw variables in front of your eyes to disorient you, but you have to gotta stay strong. You gotta stay sharp.
Can you show the way you did it for the first one again?
Yeah, for sure. So here's how I did this. I looked at this and I said, okay, I've got a variable test failing. I don't want that. And then I've got this function. which returns test failing. And it's telling me I can't create a new variable. Well, that's very unfortunate. So what I did was I said, you know what, maybe let's take a look at the test and see what the test has. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. So I go on down to here and I see test 1, and then I see return value test 1, and it's called with test succeeding passed in, which means that it's passing in this very nice value that I could use, but it doesn't have any place that it can store it right now. It doesn't have a parameter that it can store that value in. So what I also want is I want this test 1 to return test succeeding. And it's not going to right now based on this value. So what I want to do is I want to overwrite this reference. I want to write something in this function that that sets this as a local variable that I can give a new value to. And I've got that value that's passed in down here that's very nice that I want to use. So what I could do is I could come up here and I could say, okay, I am going to create a parameter test1 message so that now when I get to line 5 and this wants me to return the value of test1 message, instead of where I did before where I looked in the local scope and then found it in the global scope, now I'm going to look in the local scope, find it, and that value is going to be test1 succeeding.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Cool. All right. I am going to go ahead and open up the solutions for this. I believe that my next class with you all will be on Thursday, and we will be discussing, I want to say objects or arrays. It's probably arrays. It's arrays. We'll be talking about arrays, which are awesome. I'm going to pull up the exit ticket here for everyone to take a look at for the last minute or two of class. If you don't mind filling this out, it's extremely helpful. Here's the exit ticket. I'll also put it in the chat here. As always, if you have any questions over the next couple of days, feel free to reach out to me on Slack. I'm more than happy to help. Any other items of business that I'm forgetting? I should probably stop recording.